Hello, this is Ms. DB, and I'm going to go over just a couple things from the 5.1 assignment on using quadratic functions. And I'm going to show you how to use Sketchpad to graph some of these, which is an option. So first of all, there's some information about the difference between a linear parent function and a quadratic. A quadratic always has the variable squared. So you can either write y equals x squared in equation form. In function form, we just write f of x. The function of x is equal to x squared. That's the basic, most simple quadratic you can have. And there's some numbers here. They showed if you plug the -2 into x squared, -2 squared is 4. And if you plug -1 in and square it, you get 1. And 0 in, you get 0. And see, there's this pattern here where the positives and the negatives of x will equal the same y value. So it results in this nice little parabola shape here. It's kind of a U shape. And the parent function y equals x squared, or f of x equals x squared, has the origin, the turning point, or the vertex is right at the origin. So you can do it with a table by plugging in different points and then plotting them on graph. This works best if you're doing this by hand on graph paper. Or you can know what the equation looks like, and you can say, well, the vertex is hk, and you can tell whether it opens upwards or downwards by what the value of a is. If it's positive, it opens up. If it's negative, it opens down, and so on. There's things you can do. And the best way really to understand how it's changing is to look at some graphs of it. So for your first problems on your assignment, you're going to graph some different functions and you're going to answer some questions about it. So the first one is the parent function f of x equals x squared, the one that we looked at. So I'm going to open Sketchpad here and I'm just going to graph y equals x squared, or f of x equals x squared. So to do that, you open up your Sketchpad. Now remember that you have to be in the student desktop to access Sketchpad. That's where where you get it for free, because we've put it on there. So you open up your virtual desktop or your student desktop, and then you open up Geometer Sketchpad, GSP. It's got this little globe kind of looking thing, Earth with a compass on it, and then you go to Graph, Plot New Function. Now you want to enter in the part after the equal sign. So the part after the equal sign was just the x squared. This is the squared button. So now this should look exactly the way your equation does or your function does. And that is the first one that you're going to do. And you click OK. And it will automatically put the grid up there for you and everything, and it'll graph that function for you. So there were some questions that you were going to answer about this. One of them was, what's the vertex? The vertex is the point where it turns. You can take and put a point on the vertex, and then you can go to measure coordinates, and it'll tell you exactly what the vertex is. This vertex is 0, 0, which you could have figured out even without measuring it. It's also going to ask you if it opens upwards or downwards. It opens upwards. You could pour water into it. It would hold water. Let's see what are the other questions that ask you. Name 2 other points on the graph, and then how has the function been transformed from the parent function? Well, this is the parent function. It hasn't been transformed at all. 2 other points, again, you could just put some points on here. Let's see, here's a nice point right here. And here's a nice point. You could measure those points, or you could just say, well, this is the point 1, 1, and this is the point -1, 1. But if you want to make sure, you can go to measure coordinates and see they're, yeah, slightly off, but they're really at 1, 1 and -1, 1. See if I can make it be exactly. I usually can't nudge it exactly to where it's supposed to be, but it's supposed to be at exactly 1, 1. Okay, so now you can, I think I said on the worksheet, for extra credit, you can copy this and paste it into your worksheet, and then you can show me your graphs for extra credit. Yep, paste or attach your graphs for extra credit. So one way to do that would just be to take a picture of this, with whatever screen capture you have on here, or you could save this whole Sketchpad file. And if you want to do that, then I'm going to make another page. I could have made a duplicate page. It would have been even easier. So I just added another page. So page 1 is still here, see? Now I have page 2, and I'm going to do the same thing, except now I'm going to graph a different function. Now, I don't think this is one from your problem. I'm just going to make one up. X squared minus, I don't know, 5. So this could be, this is another quadratic, but it's going to look different. So now your question is, how did it look different? I'm going to plot the same one back on here, the parent function, x squared. And I'll turn that one's color. I'm going to make that one be black. So the black one is y equals x squared, f of x equals x squared. They're going to use different letters for the first part of the function just so you have different graphs, different functions. And you're going to say, what's the vertex of the new one, the purple one? And again, you can put a point there and measure it, or you can say, well, I can tell that that's at -5, 0. And it opens upward, and you're going to name 2 other points on the graph, which you can name this point and this point, or you can name this point and this point. It's up to you. Pick 2 points on there. It opens upward. How has it been transformed? Well, the black graph is right here at 0, 0. This one moved down. This graph here is not any wider than this one. It's just because they're showing more of it. All that's happened to it is it moved down. They're the exact same width apart. I also know that from the equation. So in the worksheet, it shows you that translations, where's the one that shows how to go down? Vertical translation, all you do is you add or subtract a number after the x squared part. It just moves it down or up. Okay? And if I had added something inside the parentheses, that would move it left or right if I add or subtract a number. So let me go back here. I can do this. I'm going to, I'm going to edit this one. Instead of subtracting at the end, I'm going to put parentheses around it, and I'm going to subtract just to the x. So in the parentheses, I have x minus 5, and then I'm squaring the whole thing. Let's see what that does. That moved it over to the right. So subtracting a value from x shifts it over, translates it to the right. So that's what you would, if you had that for your problem, you would say that. And again, you can attach your graphs for extra credit, or you can just do these on your, you can use a graphing calculator, you can use Sketchpad, or I'm going to open up another program you can use is at Desmos. It's desmos.com, and you can just go there, or you can go to the one I have open already, is the calculator one. And that's just another, that if you're having a lot of trouble with Sketchpad, this is just like a online graphing calculator where you can enter in functions and see what happens. So let's see, it's going to be a little bit cut off because I didn't make my video big enough to show everything. Let me try to zoom it in here. Okay, so here's this one. You actually type in the equal signs too. Y equals, ignore the phone, x squared. See? That's the parent function. And then if I want to do another one, I just click down. In this one, I'll do y equals x squared minus 5 was one I was going to do. So see, it graphed both of them at the same time. And then again, you could take I don't know how to save. You can't really save this as a file. But you can take a screenshot of this and attach it for your extra credit if you want. Oops, that's back to Sketchpad now. So on the worksheet, as you go through, you're going to be graphing and you're going to be describing what these different quadratic functions look like, how have they been changed, and so on and so forth. And there's different ways that they can be changed, and then you'll be graphing to see was it translated, was it a reflection, was it flipped over the x-axis or the y-axis, was it stretched, was it compressed? So that's when it says transformation, you have to say, was it a translation, a reflection, a dilation, or you can call that a stretch or a compression. And then the last part is just some matching and how to change the equation, which might be a whole nother, you might need help with that, but read the examples and let me know if you have any questions. I hope this helps learn how to use Sketchpad to graph these. And remember, you don't have to attach your graphs. You can just describe what they looked like. But if you attach your graphs, you'll get some extra credit.